There's a good one. Oh, that was really good. Solid. What iron is that?
This is my 7.
Okay. Do you also carry hybrids?
I do.
And you love those, don't you?
I do.
I knew you did.
Yeah, I brought one over.
Oh, that's good. Now it had that nice bump at the ground. Don't want to get some from behind you. When you use this club on the golf course, and for some reason you hit it pretty good, but it didn't land on the green, would your miss be more right or left?
I would say probably right.
Okay. And do you often come up short?
Yes.
Okay. Even when you hit it solid, you sometimes come up short?
I'd say yes.
Okay.
Onto the green?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's true, one of the things that you want to start doing is stop choosing the club that you've been using. Mm-hmm. If your solid shots are coming up short, it's the wrong club. Mm-hmm. So you would say if you would hit a 6-iron now or a hybrid now. Mm-hmm. I want most of your shots to be long, not short. So pick accordingly, and that'll help you score better just without even changing yourself. Now, if you had to improve your driving game or your iron game, which of the two would you like to improve the most?
I would say my driving game or the hybrid.
Okay. Okay.
Because those are typically the two that I use the most.
Right. That's exactly right. Let me see some practice swings. I want to hear that little bump to the ground. Yeah, see how your left knee flexes, mm-hmm. and your right knee extends.
Yeah.
That's a good move.
So yeah, I really resonated with me stack and tilt.
Yeah, I call it a stable axis golf swing. Bridget, you're going to look at your full swing with the hybrid, and I've got Grant Waite on the right side. Grant was a top PGA player during the 90s. He's considered having one of the best swings in golf at that time. He's now a top tour instructor. His teaching partner is Joe Mayo, who lives in Las Vegas. In fact, the picture that you see on the right is out at TPC Las Vegas. The first thing we'll look at is your impact position. This is the most important. They call it the moment of truth, because everything the golf ball does, how far it goes, how high it goes, how much it spins and curves, is a direct result of only one thing, and that is the laws of physics and motion that exist at the moment of impact, which is a fraction of a second. So first I'm going to look at the weight distribution between the feet. I've drawn a blue box from the center of your ankles to the top of your head. You're doing a lot of things that Grant is doing, which I want to focus on. You have more weight on your left side than you do your right side, which is as Grant does as well. Now Grant has more weight on his left side than you do, but you do have the majority of your weight on your left side, which is good, and that's positive. Now the average pro on tour will have 85 to 90% of their weight on their left foot at impact, and Grant is certainly there. You are less than that, but you do have a movement to the left side, which is good. If we look at the upper body and the arms, there is some more differences to look at. Grant's left arm is very extended here. That's kind of the radius of his golf circle. The length of the club and the length of the left arm creates a constant radius, so the size of his golf circle is constant. It's not fluctuating. It's not becoming a small circle or a big circle. It's just a constant size circle. That makes it easier to set up and measure yourself to the golf ball, and then make sure that that measurement is maintained throughout the swing. If that left elbow is bending, and yours is a little bit, you have a little break in your left arm right there. So as that angle in your elbow changes slightly, either getting slightly greater or slightly less, then the size of your golf circle will get slightly smaller or slightly bigger. And that can cause some inconsistencies in hitting the golf ball solid. You'll sometimes hit the ball thin, which means you just barely caught the ball, almost topping the ball. Or sometimes you might hit with a bigger circle and hit the ground behind the golf ball. And so you will not have that same kind of consistencies. It'll be very difficult for you to be consistent with a bent left arm. So one of the things that you would want to work on is, how do I swing the club with a straight left arm? Your right arm is also bent a little bit more. Grant's is almost extended. His left arm is a little bit straighter than his right, but he certainly has the image in his mind is to hit the ball with extended arms. When Grant's right arm gets parallel to the ground, his arms are still very extended. His elbows are still very close to each other. Both arms are straight. You can see his left hand underneath the right hand. His wrists have kind of crossed a little bit right there. Here your right arm is parallel to the ground, but you can see that your left hand, your white glove, is above the right hand. So your elbows have kind of separated and you haven't hit with extended arms. And that will create some problems for you in creating the correct amount of club head speed and consistently hit the ball with the face of the club. Now, as I go just a little bit further in the swing, when the left arm is parallel to the ground, so now the left arm is parallel to the ground, and you can see how the shaft of his club is angled upward. So he almost has a right angle from the shaft in his left arm. And now your left arm is parallel to the ground, but you really don't have much of an angle in the shaft. You have not properly rehinged the club up in the air. So there's some issues with how you place your hands on the handle. Right now you grip it in a way that makes it difficult to properly hinge the club in your wrist, and then to unhinge them through impact, and then to rehinge again in your follow through. Once you find another instructor, tell him that your previous instructor, in fact, I would encourage to get his email or her email and send this video to them and tell them that you need to work a little bit on having a professional looking grip. Your right hand is a little bit too far underneath the handle to have a proper release of the club. So I would like to have that shaft up here by the time your left arm gets parallel to the ground, and that you learn how to get both arms straight through there. Now that'll take a little bit of work, but you have a good solid foundation of fundamentals to build on. So I'm confident that you can learn these things. If we look at your movements in the lower body from the waist down, you can see how Grant's back leg is going forward. His knee is pointing to the target. His belt buckle is pointing to the target. His sternum is pointing to the target. Everything is rotated through. He's not just turning his upper body towards the target, he's turning his lower body to the target as well. His right front pocket right there is on top of his left foot. And you really haven't turned your lower body. Your back leg is still very, very straight. I want you to start moving this knee and this hip and rotating and get your belt buckle facing that target at this time. If we look further, you can see how your back foot is still flat on the ground, and then your shoelaces are pointing to the camera. Grant's back foot is off the ground. Only the edge of his big toe is touching the ground. So he's rotating and shifting to the left side. As we take it up now to the finish, Grant will have that nice tall finish. His back foot is on the tip of the toe. His weight is solidly on his left foot. He's standing tall with an extended left leg. He's looking over his right shoulder out at the target. Now from the upper body, you look very similar to Grant. So from the waist up, you look very similar to Grant, but it's the waist down that's a little bit different. Grant has that back leg bent at the knee, and you're pretty straight right there. Also, again, he has his back foot on the tip of his toe. and your foot is going this way, hanging back a little bit. The Grant's foot is straight up and down. Now I'm going to look at the positions prior to impact. The sole purpose of all your movements before impact is to arrive at an impact position that is fundamentally sound. So let's look at your setup. I like the extension in your arms. Those are good. They're just like Grant, has same extended arms. The ball position looks very reasonable for this hybrid. I would probably maybe get your feet slightly, and maybe 1 inch wider, and maybe turn this. You can see how Grant's foot is kind of flared. His left foot's flared out just a little bit. That will facilitate a little easier shift to the left side. Something you might experiment with is to feel that a little bit. But the setup looks reasonably good for a good starting position. I'm going to take it back to the 3 position. This is when the left arm is basically parallel to the ground. Take Grant back to the 3 position, somewhere right in there. Now Grant has hinged his wrist more, and he has that shaft almost in a 90-degree angle, and you're a little bit short of that. So I would like for you to learn how to start your wrist hinge a little bit earlier. Now I said earlier that the way you grip the club makes it difficult for you to hinge the club properly the way you have your left and right hand on there. So you would need some adjustments in the way you grip the club to help you facilitate a little better wrist hinge. Now here you are at the top of the backswing, and you can see where Grant has maintained a very extended left arm. Now he has bent his right arm, and all pros will bend their right arm. You want to almost set that in a throwing position. And you have bent your right arm, but you do have your left arm bent. So your left arm is kind of like this. Someone would need to work with you and show you how to keep your left arm extended during your backswing. Now the other thing that is visible here in your right hand grip, you can see how your right thumb is underneath the shaft, as opposed to for the forefinger and the thumb to be pinching the sides of the shaft. The shaft should actually rest on the big knuckle of your forefinger and not rest on the pad of your thumb when you get to the top of the swing. But again, that's a sophisticated adjustment that a professional would have to make with your hands. Now I want to look at one other thing that you do in your backswing. I've drawn a red line at the top of your head and Grant's head. I want to take Grant back to the top of his backswing. And notice that his head stays at the same level that he started in. And as you take your club back, you start standing up really tall. So right now, you are 4 or 5 inches higher above the ball than you started. And if you were to try to swing at the ball in that tall position, you would swing the air above the ball. You wouldn't hit the ground or the ball or anything. You'd be swinging completely above the ground because you'd be swinging 4 or 5 inches higher than you started. Grant is in the same position, and he actually drops down a little bit, but not much, so that he can hit down into the golf ball. You have trouble doing that sometimes. You come down quite a bit, and then you start raising back up again. So you have this fluctuation of up and down that causes inconsistency in hitting the ball solid. So you want to stabilize your center point of your golf circle. And that takes some certain drills, or some drills that you could do and learn that feeling of rotating around a stable axis with a stable center. So I want you to put your club down for a second and stand up straight and just fold your arms.
Okay.
I want you to turn and just turn back 90 degrees to the target, to the range. And as you turn, I want you to feel your right knee come all the way up to your left knee. Your thighs are closed, your right leg is folded, and you can catch your toe. Okay, we'll do that again. Widen your stance a little bit, so to have a little longer club, we need a little wider face.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Oh, there you go. Hold it right there. That's it. Now widen your stance. You may need to have a little wider stance because you might feel wobbly.
Right.
And so if you get your feet too close together, you will lose your balance.
Okay.
To widen your stance just a fraction. Just a fraction. I want you more, even more athletic. Good. I want to hear a swish down there. Swish and pose. Good. Excellent. Do that again. Swish and pose. Doesn't that kind of feel like what you see on TV though?
It does, yeah.
See, you didn't have that before. I'm giving you the pro finish.
Okay.
And that's what we need to hit with. But I need a little bit more speed. I want to hear a little bit more swish. Almost like you're swatting a bee down there. Okay, good. 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 There you go. Good. Okay. And you can finish, instead of finishing real high with your hands like this, you can finish more, your elbows almost level with your shoulders.
Okay.
Going really almost in slow motion. And I'm gonna just, so you'll have the pose there, have it hitting in the weak. I'm just gonna hold my pose there. Very nice. Okay. Swing to that new pose. Good finish. Look at that toe. Every time. Ooh, that was really good. That had a little draw on it.
Bridget, on the left is your finish before we started adjusting it, and you can see how straight the back leg was and how you were not really fully on the tip of the toe. And you made a really good adjustment. You can see how you have that pro finish now with your lower body. You have your knee flexed, your right knee is right even with your left knee, so you've rotated your lower body to the target, much better position. You're right on the tip of that toe. Very, very good.